What's up, y'all? Wow. Today's the 28th of November, 2025. My name is Evan Strong, the founder of In the Image Clothing Company. Welcome. This is In the Image Clothing Company Podcast, episode 181, actually. Wow, we're in the 180s. That means there's a new playlist. Right now I've got playlists of 10s, which there'd be 18 of those as of today's date. That's cool. That's really cool, man. I'm in this for life. Evan Strong as the founder of In the Image Clothing Company. But this is where we have discussions on the gospel of Jesus Christ, aka the truth of all things. Yikes. No claim, no opinion, no religion, really. Just life is what it is. We're all human beings placed on the same earth, designed by one God. We just discuss him as he says that he is. Jesus Christ. We're designed in the image of Jesus Christ. There's the 3 first words of the 5 of our company name as a whole. Man, let's get into this because, here's a leash. I was actually making an episode of Metronome Madness, which is a series with 40 episodes on one of our 4s, In the Image Clothing Company music, about a month ago. And give or take, just about a month ago. And I was just kind of walking around and filming myself do off-the-top lyricism, off-tempo as well. That's why it was called Metronome Madness, that series. And I found this leash on the ground out there by some of these disc golf holes, if you will, right? The disc golf course. And yeah, it was just sitting in the dirt. It had been there for a while. So I got it because, In the Image Clothing Company Poodles, another one of our 4s. We do all that we do with poodles. I'll talk about some things in here as I do, but let's talk about this. The title of this episode, 181 of In the Image Clothing Company Podcast, is Defying Gravity. This is a good point. I'm sitting a little bit farther back from this than I have at times. We do In the Image Clothing Company Podcast episodes where we do. A lot of them have been done in my room here, though. And I need to be able to expand and express and open my arms like this and still stay relatively in frame to be able to speak well and open my rib cage and, not try to defy gravity. And, this is interesting because we've got a lot of videos on the main side of In the Image Clothing Company. We're just in this, by the way. First off, the intro is the intro where it is. What I mean is the gospel of Jesus Christ, or the good news of God, is what that means also, right? The same thing worded 2 different ways. It's everything. That's what I mean. The truth of all things, it's just life. We don't have to be reading from scripture necessarily, but we do. And, I just quote scripture where I do. The Book of Mormon, the Holy Bible. But just when we're talking about life, God is the truth. It's another name for God, right? The truth, the way, the life. There's a lot of names for who God is, the creator of all things, the great I am. God is who God says that God is. It's his choice, right? We can worship him as he says that he is. And he designed us. He designed the earth. He designed this life. He designed gravity. All these universal laws, these things that are outside of our hands that we can't defy. Defying gravity. Episode 181 of In the Image Clothing Company Podcast here. I think we've got enough storage space to make this just as long as I will make it. I'm pretty sure. If it cuts randomly, shoot. We're going to do it from here as long as it goes, as long as it goes, okay? I filmed a video today on the main side of In the Image Clothing Company where we allow the body to work, right? That's what we do. That's really the point of In the Image Clothing Company. Allowing the body to work. The human body has a center line, the sternum, the spine, the trachea, the nose, and our jaw. The jaw naturally stabilizing the entire body. We've got feet at the base of our bodies, opposing the center line, gripping arches inward that keep us vertical on Earth's center of gravity. We talk about gravity a lot. We've got a video on the main side of In the Image Clothing Company titled Keeping Our Bodies Over Earth's Gravity. I filmed down in St. George, Utah, where we're based. I'm just currently in Utah County right now. Okay, we live up Utah as In the Image Clothing Company, so it's important for you to know, if you want to know much about us, where we are. on the earth, Utah, the state in the United States of America. Okay, it's beautiful. We do so much outside under the gift of video, a lot with the poodles, a lot with just filming videos in nature and just being in nature. And I'll talk about those, the things that I talk about within this, more context for this specific episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. But yeah, we talk about gravity a lot because we have to focus on gravity, deal with gravity's pull. Today I made a video on the main side of In the Image Clothing Company titled what it really means to reach with the right arm. Because we live in this right-handed world, okay? 85%, give or take, of human beings are right-handed. And so allowing the body to work, we discuss the anatomy of the human body in depth. We talk about clothing because it's clothing the human body. Anything that clothes the human being is clothing. And anything physically placed on us, which is what our clothing is, can damage the body. The body's just a mechanical machine placed onto a rock in space. Okay, there's only one way it could ever work, just a neutral to every position, or a centered line, if you will, to every position, a neutral to all the rotations, internal rotation versus external rotation, from the neutral in the forearms, in the entire arms, in the lower legs, and the entire legs, and all the body and all its motion. Okay, we're getting to this. We're going to get to the discussion. Defying gravity and how this is, important to talk about and make it in the Image Clothing Company podcast episode about, because it is. All right, but we can't defy gravity, and a lot of what we do as human beings is just dealing with gravity. So we allow the body to work, and we really discuss the anatomy of the human body in depth. We give a lot of free modifications in clothing, on the main side of In the Image Clothing Company, if you will. That's where we do these things the most, is the main side, as far as for the body. The main side of In the Image Clothing Company, yeah, one of our fourths. So, oh, it hits me, man. I'm in this for life. This is crazy. It's getting so much more real. It's been real since the very beginning, but now it's just undisputed. We just discussed the body as it is, okay? Our feet are only as long as our feet are, and our feet are supporting our entire bodies, and our feet grip arches inward from the outside, okay? We talk about a lot of videos often that we've made under the main side of In the Image Clothing Company about the feet. Here are some of them. Okay, I'll just list off some titles of videos about the feet specific, some that we have under the main side of In the Image Clothing Company as of today's date, the 28th of November, 2025. Okay, the importance of zero drop shoes, which is a term, okay, meaning flat, heel to toe, shoe soles, okay. Always stop lacing at ankle flexion, or the angle of the ankle, okay. In the Image Clothing Company's shoelace technique, truly just the only way you can weave a rope across the top of the human feet that doesn't alter the mechanics of the ligaments, tendons, muscles, and bones in the feet and their gripped arches with that neutral position straight forward from the pinky toe, supporting the entire body, okay. The height of a gripped arch, because our arches grip from the outside in, and then they rise, and there's height there, okay. And we have that springing ability to our feet. Keeping feet in the outside of shoes, because we walk on the outside of our feet, because the inside of the foot elevates when the arch grips. Our toes are different lengths, from the pinky toes being the shortest and farthest back, up and into the big toes being the longest, like an arrow, to the center line of the body. We roll evenly off the ends of all of our different length toes, and so that just naturally puts our foot outward, and then there's that natural outward curvature up the lower leg through the entire body in that neutral ankle, okay, and a gripped arch. There is only one way the feet work. There is only one way the feet are shaped, okay? These are videos under the main side of In the Image Clothing Company about the feet, specific. The importance of even ankle flexion, okay? The importance of even Achilles tendon insertions. A deep discussion on the right Achilles tendon. Living in this right-handed world. Okay, those of you in visual plus audio of this episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast, I'm just like throwing my arms all around because there's so many videos. We've got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of videos as of today's date. under the main site of In The Image Clothing Company alone, okay? And there's 4 sides to us. There's 181 episodes of In The Image Clothing Company podcast here, as of this one. There's, around 200, give or take, or more, I don't know. I think more than 200 videos on In The Image Clothing Company music as of today's date. In The Image Clothing Company poodles, not as many yet, because we don't have any poodles yet. But yeah, we specialize in purebred standard poodles. Let's talk about In The Image Clothing Company poodles real quick. One of our fourths, we breed poodles properly, register them to show how to do so and why it's important to further good bloodlines of dogs and be good owners of dogs. You know, we talk about how to do these things. Keeping less dogs in shelters and more dogs at homes. We let dogs stay natural, which is the same thing as saying allowing the body to work on the main side of In The Image Clothing Company. So through collars, leashes, harnesses, just like clothing for human beings, we keep them centered and fitting the dogs correct. Because our human being clothing, we have collars around our neck. We talk about, you know, quote, keeping collars centered, unquote, a video under the main side of In The Image Clothing Company, but also just a must. Musculature and tendons opposing the center line of the body and the neck. Okay, the shoulder is the jaw, directly connected. So things like tops are like a cage for the shoulders. Another video under the main side of In The Image Clothing Company. Yeah, right. Tops need to just sit right at the very edges of our shoulders with those edge seams and just lock our shoulders evenly in place, opposing the center line with the musculature. And its level of contraction, okay? The human body only pulls. A video under the main side of In The Image Clothing Company. All muscles only contract. The only other end is just relaxing, okay? There's opposing muscles to every function. Okay, so let's get into this because we're in this. I'm in it. I'm in this for life. I'm in it for a minute and a long time. I'm stuttering, but I'm like on tempo. I don't know. We do a lot with music. So, oh shoot. So there you go. Okay, the feet, they're huge, man. We let dogs stay natural. In The Image Clothing Company poodles, that's where I was. So here in the state of Utah, the United States of America, reel it back in. I wasn't like out of it, but I'm just in, going kind of fast with it because that's okay. It's just there's a lot to say. There's a lot to say. I'm in this for life. We gotta build the foundation strong so that the rest of our whole time doing this just works well. Okay, episode 100 of In The Image Clothing Company was titled, of In The Image Clothing Company podcast. It was titled "Laying a Foundation." Okay, that's what I'm doing. 14 months into this, give or take, as of today's date. I'm setting it up for the rest of my lifetime. And then on from there, as long as somebody takes over after I die, of In The Image Clothing Company, okay? So, yeah. One of the events we have are poodle parade events under In The Image Clothing Company poodles. Bring your poodles, purebred of any size or mixed poodles of any size. We'll get people into nature, dogs into nature, have a good time, get rooted to our authentic selves through, just being with people. Don't come for us, me, the founder of In The Image Clothing Company, or the team. Come for the event, come for the environment, come for the dogs, or whatever event it is. Maybe it's not poodle specific, any event. Come for the event for the sake of that, not for us, please. By any means, do not come for us at all, okay? Like the team. But there you go. A little bit about what we do under In The Image Clothing Company poodles. I just, I saw this leash sitting here because it's right next to me on the ground. Here as I'm sitting on the ground, right? And we do a lot with poodles. So, information that applies to all dogs as well. When we talk about letting dogs stay natural, except for anything that is very poodle specific, our information does apply to all dogs. So, there you go. Okay, that's a lot of what we do there. And the same thing applies to dogs for not defying gravity. Okay, we've got this song here. There's that song, and I don't even think I've ever actually seen what this is really from. I think it's from Wicked, the play. Defying Gravity. That's a song title from somebody else that wrote a song. And anyway, I wrote down here. Oh shoot, can you see the numbers on the back of this sticky note? This has been quite the video or podcast episode. But it's good. It's fine. No, it's fine. And it is fine. The point is, there's that song, And I wrote down who sings it, or, in case I decide to sing it in here a little bit, so I can give credit to them. But no, we just can't defy gravity, okay? A lot of it's just the length of our feet. We have to keep our bodies vertical over our feet, over Earth's gravity's centered pull. I talk about this that I say, and it sounds nuts. It sounds crazy. It sounds wrong. It's the truth. It's physically, mechanically, legitimately, actually impossible to train the human body to get it to do anything. It's just a machine with functions. We have neutrals. A neutral to internal rotation, like I was saying earlier, and then from the neutral we can go external with our rotations. We have a neutral to every joint's function on either side because there's opposing musculature, and so there has to be a center or a neutral to that. There's a neutral, if you will, or a center to Earth's gravity, as well as a center to the human body, left to right, front to back. Musculature connects from the outside of the shoulder into the center line in the front, here at the sternum, evenly on both sides, and it does the same thing in the rear, from the outside of the shoulder to the center of the spine, evenly on both sides. That's why it's so important to have tops being like a cage for the shoulders. That's why it's so important to keep collars centered. That's why it's so important to tie your shoes evenly and do in the Image Clothing Company's shoelace technique. That's why it's so important to keep your drawstrings even. We talk about the slipped lap knot, right? We can't be twisting the body with ropes introduced to it. Oversized clothing, imbalances in clothing, these things cause chronic patterning and scar tissue, which is really what we do under the main side of In The Image Clothing Company, is get out of chronic patterning that gets built up in the body. Scar tissue, bone spurs, where musculature is pulling on bones in ways that's not in line tracking, which is all muscles do. They pull one endpoint to another endpoint directly in line, right? There is only one way the hands work. There is only one way the feet work. These are videos under the main side of In The Image Clothing Company. It's the truth. It is impossible to train the human body, to get it to do anything. You can get stronger in your body's only workings, in its neutral positions, sure. But then once you stop working out to gain the strength or the muscle mass or size or physical capability to lift more weight, your body goes back to the human body's only normal. The only normal resting heart rate, the only normal resting breathing rate, respiratory rate, if you will, the only normal body temperature, the only normal amount of musculature versus fat to just keep the body balanced in how it's going to work. In all the ways, there's just a normal to the human being. Okay? So that's why we allow the body to work here. It's truly, actually, legitimately the only approach you can have. It's God's design. We just let it work for the dogs. We just allow it to work for the human beings, right? It's on the back end. Take our hands off of things, understand how they work, and there you go. They work. We didn't design it. We can't decide it. An episode title of In The Image Clothing Company Podcast, okay? We didn't design it. We can't decide it. And so this is a big point with gravity. We hang our arms down at our sides, and from the shoulder down to the fingertips, there's just a straight pull with gravity, where our arms will just hang with gravity. All right? There's just a center line to the body. There's a center line to gravity. There's a lot of things in our life, truly, that are just entirely outside of our control because they're God's designs. Universal laws. God is universal. The universe has a name, is an episode title of In The Image Clothing Company Podcast. And the quote, universe's name, if you will, right, unquote, universe, blah, 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 is Jesus Christ. Okay? Because a lot of what I said in there is, how can something be universal if you believe in the universe and you believe the universe does something that somebody else believes the universe could never do, or they believe the universe works exactly opposite to how you believe the universe works? Well, Jesus Christ is who he says that he is. He tells us who he is, and then we know how God works, because God is who God says that he is. He designed us and the whole earth and gravity and physics and mathematics and things that are undisputed and true, right? There's only truth at all. You can't have an opinion on something unless something was there first to have an opinion on. That thing that was first there is the truth. God, in the beginning, spoke, and then, he spoke light into existence in 7 days, well, really 6 days. He created the earth, he rested on the seventh. In the beginning, there was God. Before any opinions, there's truth, right? There's always something first. There's always truth. And the truth is, every human being across the entire earth with any opinion on how anything could happen at all, that we're talking about gravity, well, their opinions don't matter. My opinions don't matter. Opinions don't matter. That's harsh, but it's true. Something like gravity is a beautiful thing to see that with, because it's something that every single human across the entire earth is experiencing the exact same. Gravity's pull. We're on the same earth where gravity's pulling us to. Okay? So you can't defy gravity, is the big point. It's stuff like this, when we talk about the top of the feet, where a lot of times focus gets put on the soles of shoes, and it gets put in the wrong way, where people try to get soft, squishy shoe soles, but we need to be on, quote, firm ground, unquote. An episode title of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. Our feet need to really grip. All musculature only contracts. The feet are meant to work, well, mechanically, there's only one way they can work, regardless of what we could say they're meant to or not. Truly, there's only one way the body can mechanically work. It's just bones connected to bones through ligaments that has cartilage in between to cushion the joints that cannot wear out, or else the joints don't work. And then musculature, like I was saying, only pulls two endpoints directly in line, connecting to bones through tendons. There's only one way the human body could ever work. There's no possible opinion or dispute. We're all on Earth's gravity, which we cannot defy. There's the title. There's the point. That's how this is a gospel of Jesus Christ discussion. God designed the earth and the human being. Gravity is a universal thing. It's a good way to see truth for those that believe in things. Yeah. Oh yeah, hands up on that, like fully. I just want to kind of sit on that. That's got to be said that bold, because, yeah. How to be bold, episode 180 of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. Speak truth, it was really the point, right? The truth is, even if you don't believe in anything, there's still things there. Gravity. You can't defy it. You can't deny it. You can't dispute it. You can't go against it, which would be defying it, but just in a different word. Describing the same thing of just trying to oppose something. There you go, another word that's synonymous with defying in this instance, okay? But there are opposing muscles. So that's the thing. Even a push, what we think of as a push, is the body pulling two endpoints together on the backside of a hinge joint, like the elbow. The triceps pull, and the arm goes farther from us. We're pulling the arm away from us, truly. And then the bicep here on the other side pulls the arm toward us, or the hand, right, toward us. There's only a pull that can happen in the body. Like I referenced, the video. The human body only pulls on the main side of In the Image Clothing Company Truth, okay? That was filmed in St. George. We're based in St. George, but I just need to move down there, okay? But I was down there for 2.5 weeks, and there's context videos. In the Image Clothing Company podcast, there was an episode that was filmed down there titled Taking Care of Our Dogs, okay? A lot of In the Image Clothing Company poodles stuff in that episode. So anyway, the big point is, it's universal. It's gravity, man. It's something you'd have no say over, right? We have no say is actually another episode title of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. And so this is the big thing. We have to stay over our own feet. Okay, there's only one way the feet grip arches, because again, they're just bones connecting to bones through ligaments. And the bones only mesh the way they do. I mean, the bones ends are shaped in a certain way where they barely have enough room between them to not wear, and they just have a little layer of that cushioning or cartilage between them. And they just have to work together, as in mesh well together, in the only way that they just physically come together because of their shape and structure. Bones are immovable, Yeah, I mean, they're only shaped the way that they are, is what I mean by that. Okay, so gravity. Our body's a mechanical machine. There's only one way it could ever work. there's only one center to it. I mean, things that are obvious, if you know them, at least, that you couldn't dispute. We'll say it like that you obviously could not dispute if you know about it. The sternum, it's a big bone in the center of the chest, in the front of the body. And the spine in the rear, a lot of bones connecting together to have all this motion, left and right, front to back. There's even rotations in the spine. There's a lot going on because there's a lot of little vertebrae, which are just little bones of the spine stacking up together. There's a lot of them from the base of the skull down to the top of the pelvis or the hip structure, okay? That's the spine with 3 parts, right? The cervical spine in the neck, the thoracic spine around, the rib cage area, and then the lumbar spine, which is that lower back. There's only one way the human body could ever work. It's a machine. And so what we really have to do is focus on gravity. One of the big things we can see is what I was talking about with the shoe soles. Sure, we need to put focus on the bottom of our feet because they're really what's supporting us on Earth's gravity. So zero drop shoes. Okay, I like Zero Shoes, the brand, but the term zero drop. These are the Zero Shoes Denver canvas black behind me. I've shown them many times. On the episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast, it doesn't matter to say that. Wherever we talk about, I'll say it like that, In the Image Clothing Company's shoelace technique, I've shown Zero Shoes, the brand, many times. I've shown these canvas black Denver model from Zero Shoes many times. That's a good brand doing good things. I shout out good brands doing good things just for the sake of giving people, acknowledgement for doing good things. Because that's what we do here as In the Image Clothing Company, okay, as well. But any shoes, we have to have them flat on the ground, and we understand this if you know In the Image Clothing Company and what we talk about with shoes, just because the human body would always just work. It was designed by God too. Designed to work is an episode title of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. And unless we had man-made things placed onto the body that don't accommodate and allow it to do the only thing that it does, okay, just the functioning that the body has, or unless, we live in this man-made modern 2025 and going forth with so many unnatural things and unnatural positions our bodies are being placed into, stretch within clothing that goes the opposite direction of the only way muscles could ever work, which stretch in clothing is new, just decades old as of today's date. These materials didn't even exist. They're artificial or synthetic. We hear these words that just means fake. That just synonyms for fake. Truly. Okay? So without all these things, our bodies would just work, and human beings just worked physically. Like, they were able to operate physically for ever, since Adam, the first man on the earth. Until recently, decades ago, people didn't work out the way they do nowadays, unless you really were a professional athlete. People didn't just run for no reason, unless you were a professional athlete. People didn't stretch their bodies the way they do nowadays, and there wasn't all this cultural, stuff like that we do, and we don't realize why as a society, but we do under In the Image Clothing Company. We really discuss the truth. A lot has changed. We have to deal with so much as human beings that we never had to in the past. Things that are so flat. When our hands are round, correlating with the arches in our feet, we do have these hand arches. We live in a modern man-made flat world, and our bodies do not work like that. Our feet don't work on flat ground. They have to grip arches, gripping textured earth, because the earth is textured. But our man-made floorings are often not. These are things we've talked about since the very founding of In the Image Clothing Company, but a lot of this is to do with gravity. I love the speed of speech that I have in this. So much. You can just tell that I really need to be saying this right now. It's just flowing through me. This is awesome. Okay, so we have our feet being flat on the ground, and that's great to focus on the bottom of the feet. But one big thing we can see with gravity and its universal effect on human beings is our feet, pointing the feet from the bottom of them, okay, plantar flexion, pointing our toes away from us, that's only half of the foot's function. From its neutral, we can lift the toes, which is dorsiflexion, okay? Pointing the toes, it's plantar flexion. That's the bottom of our shoes. And we put focus on that just as a society. And often it's, like I was saying, misled and misunderstood, you know, importance that we put on it. A lot of people are actually intentionally purchasing footwear that's damaging their feet because of the sole of the shoe's design, because of a lot of just, misconceptions of anatomy and mechanics of the body. Okay, because we need zero drop shoes. We need our feet flat on the ground because God designed the feet to be flat on the earth. That's the only way they work. That's why, that video, keeping heels on the ground, the pinky toe is just the shortest. And it's on the outside of the foot where the arch grips inward from. And we need a contact point from the tip of the pinky toe to the tip of the rear of the heel of our foot to grip inward. Pulling musculature together, all musculature only contracts, quote, the human body only pulls, unquote, right? There's only one way the human body could ever work. It's a mechanical machine. There's no opinion, no dispute to what we do under In The Image Clothing Company. So you have to have that pinky toe on the ground, and it's the shortest, right? And so if we elevate the heels, the pinky toe just can't reach the ground. We can't grip an arch inward. And so our foot drops into external rotation only when there's a neutral straight forward from the pinky toe, and then we have internal rotation and external rotation, okay? From the neutral. That's what I mean. You cannot train to a neutral. Earth's gravity, what I'm saying is the top of the feet is only half of the function. The bottom of the feet is only half of the function. And so I've made this clear, but this is good to say with Earth's gravity, right? Or Defying Gravity, episode 181 of In The Image Clothing Company podcast. When we have, well, that's a shoe that I had in my hand there, but if we have the top of our feet lifting a shoe off of the ground, opposing or defying, in a sense, wow, Earth's gravity, kind of, right? But lifting our foot away from the pole of Earth's gravity, from the top of it, we're lifting our shoe off of the ground, opposing gravity's pull, yes, with the top of our foot. That's the shoe laces. When you're lifting your foot off the ground, the bottom of the shoe does not matter at all. You're lifting from the inside of the top of the upper of the shoe where the laces go across. With the top of your foot, half of the function, okay? Lifting the toes is half from the neutral to pointing the toes, okay? Toward or away from the neutral, we lift the toes or we point the toes. There's a neutral. Earth's gravity, neutral. Here we go, okay? Zero drop shoes, the term, flat on the ground. God designed the human body to work. Allow it to. And we give the context on how to, just freely, under In The Image Clothing Company, okay? We're here to do huge things. We're not here for sales or money. Although, yes, In The Image Clothing Company clothing and then In The Image Clothing Company dog products will always be great because we know how things need to be done. We'll do all that we can to have our designs just do what we do. Allow the body to work and let the dog stay natural, okay? Any design of any product we could ever have or put out, we know what we're talking about. Don't believe me. Don't believe us, right? Don't believe us. Don't, because truth is truth. And God has a universal law called gravity, okay? And it just works how it does. And so that's one of the big things, with defying gravity, we need to understand what gravity is really doing. And we need to understand that there's half of the body's function that is opposing gravity. You step down onto the earth, and then you lift your foot up off of the earth and put it forward, and then you step down onto the earth, and you lift your other foot up off of the earth and put that one forward. Each step, even just walking, the natural walking gait cycle, right? That's a video I made titled something exactly like that, very close at least, under the main site of In The Image Clothing Company. I'm almost certain that was in 2024, okay? A while ago, over a year ago. Well, around a year ago at least. Okay. There's a natural walking gait cycle, or just meaning the way that the human being just does strides front to back and walks across the earth surface, right? On gravity's pull. This is what I mean. There's only one way the human body could ever work. In order to take the human being and have it operate itself across the surface of the earth by just swinging one appendage, right? one extremity, one leg, from the foot up to the hip, or from the hip down to the foot, and swing it forward and step it down, and then swing the other side's leg forward and step it down, and vice versa. There's only one way that can mechanically happen. And you can't defy gravity. Okay? What I'm saying is, I'm giving context, because I make the claims, but they're not claims. They sound like it. And I can truly say it, because it is the truth. It's out of my hands. It's out of my control. It's God's law. Gravity. There truly is only one way the human body could ever work. It's designed to work on the surface of the earth, working with, essentially, but as well, against, essentially, the same thing, right? We're working with gravity, but we're also working against gravity. It's a good thing on both ends. You step down and push off the earth, you're working against Earth's gravity. Kind of. Yeah, I mean, really, we are working against Earth's gravity, I guess, more than working with it. But we can't defy it. Maybe that is really basically the only end it's on, is we're not working with it. We're working against gravity, but we can't do anything opposing what gravity will just cause our bodies to do. That's the way that works, okay? Just to be clear, that put me in my place. Not that I was saying anything incorrect, but just, I mean, that's just so hard-hitting. Is because I was trying to say that we're both working with and against gravity, but we are not working with gravity. Our musculature only contracts, and we have to keep ourselves up off of the earth. We are always working against gravity, but we cannot defy what gravity will do. So that's why we have to be so intentional and as understanding as we can about the only way the human body could ever work. Because we're fighting gravity, and we can't defy it. Man, see, that hit me. I mean, that's what I'm saying. That's what we started into this with, but, once I really put it into words in a way that it needed to be put into words, it's like, shoot, yeah. I was flying through my speech, and now I'm just humbled. Both ends are good, but you can just see what I'm saying here now. I've given a lot of context already in this. Because, yeah, it's things like the top of the shoulders. The shirt tail is down at the very bottom part of our shirt, down at our hips, right? That needs to stop at our hip hinge, right? Keeping tops waisted. Yeah, that is a video title under the main site of In The Image Clothing Company. I'm almost certain that was in the fall of 2024, or the winter of 2024 as well. The end of the year. Anyway, if not, it was early part of 2025. But yeah, keeping tops waisted. Because there's a hip hinge, and we just need to be able to hinge without the shirt tail being in the way. Anyway, what I'm saying is clear down here at the bottom of our top. I love that. I said that before on the main site of In The Image Clothing Company, and I just loved how it sounds. The bottom of our top, the shirt tail, which is the lowest part of what we call a top, okay, that we wear. The top of our top would be up at the top of our shoulders, okay? So the shirt tail down here at the bottom is hanging from the very top of our shoulders with Earth's gravity. The pant cuffs down there at our ankles, right? Keeping pant cuffs off the feet, though, right? How pant cuffs affect body mechanics. A video under the main site of In The Image Clothing Company. We need to clear the flexion of our ankle, that dorsiflexion, lifting the foot. That needs to be able to be cleared by the pant cuff. This is huge. That's what I mean. I'm in this for life. This is the truth. This is how we get the body to work. Well, no, this is how we allow the body to work, because you can never possibly get it to. But the pant cuffs, the very bottom part of our pants, okay, they're being pulled down on with Earth's gravity from clear up at our natural waist where pants sit, entirely above the hip bones at our natural waist, where we bend side to side of the spine, and slightly higher in the front than the rear to keep us just, vertical on Earth's gravity, to keep the pelvis or the hip structure position neutral. Okay, anterior rotation, the pelvis coming farther lower in the front, deactivating the body, only allowing it to have half of its rotations. External rotation is what we'll get stuck into. But then there's also posteriorly rotating or tucking the pelvis, right, which is the opposite end. And the neutral from, those two rotations, vertical on Earth's gravity, is where we need our pelvis or our hips to be, which that's why our pant waistline sits slightly higher in the front. Really, what I mean when I say slightly higher in the front is just never let it drop lower in the front, because then you're just pulling on musculature with Earth's gravity. There's an episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast titled Physically Impossible. And that's one of the biggest things I focused on, is just the angle of our waistband of our pants and Earth's gravity. A universal law of God's that we have no say over. Gravity. Gravity. I'm going to say it a third time. Gravity. Do you catch the gravity of what I'm saying here? Okay, the weightiness of what I'm saying here. So anyway, yeah, our pants are pulling on our hips, the entire pants, clear down to, where the very bottom of our pant cuff is. Our shirt is pulling on our shoulders from the very bottom of where our shirt tail is, with Earth's gravity. Okay. And then our sleeve cuffs down to our wrists, keeping the sleeve cuffs off the wrist, though, right? How sleeve cuffs affect body mechanics. We have to have motion in the wrist, keep the sleeve cuffs off the wrists. But yes, I mean, they're stemming at the shoulders. Just like how the hand is essentially the shoulder and the foot is essentially the hip, a lot of it's Earth's gravity, that's determining how these things will mechanically work. All right? Stuff that we have no say over. Things that are outside of ourselves, okay? Yeah. It's not outside of yourself, an episode title of In the Image Clothing Company, but as far as a lot of things that are outside of our controls, well, God, we have no say. We have no say. Like I said, that's an episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast itself. We have no say. If I didn't say that in this, then yes, I mean, that's an episode as well. So we just talk about things that are true here because we talk about God, and we could never decide any of this. That's what I mean. It's outside of us. It's outside of our control. It's out of our hands. It's not our choices. It's God, the one and only, the creator of all things, Jesus Christ himself. All right. The fact that I made episode 180 last night, how to be bold, and then now the next day, this episode 181 of In the Image Clothing Company podcast titled Defying Gravity is like, kind of almost playing off of how to be bold. You speak truth. I didn't decide any of this, but I can tell you what's really going on that's undisputed. It is the same yesterday, today, and forever. All humans forever, since the very first to the very last, if that is a thing, right? Gravity. It only does what it does. We can't defy it. So these are a lot of things that we can understand with gravity. Is the lifting of our shoulders, the lifting of our feet. The fact that anything placed onto the body is pulling it down, and our body has to lift itself off the earth, which is, enough by itself without us placing excess weight onto the body. So here's a big thing, when we're working out, this is what I mean, workouts are pointless. Once you stop working out, your body loses all the muscle that you gained, all the strength that you gained, and it goes back to, like I said earlier, the human body's only normal, which we discuss. We talk about that. In all the ways that there's just a normal to the human being, there is. That's the truth, right? Don't agree with me when I say right. Don't believe me, okay? Don't believe in the Image Clothing Company. Please. But truth is truth, and I do not get to decide it. No human ever could, possibly. Like gravity. Nobody decided how gravity works. We just cannot defy gravity. We cannot deny that it's there. We can't defy the truth. We can't deny that there is just universal, unchanging truth because it just is there. It was there before us. That's how we are here, because something happened, truly, to cause you to be here. What is the truth of how you were even born? You see what I mean? What is the truth of how your lungs are exchanging oxygen and carbon dioxide? The body's just a machine in the sense of exchanging gases. We breathe in carbon dioxide, and our bodies exchange it and turn it into an entirely different thing in a sense. And we breathe out oxygen. Well, that was backward. But we breathe in oxygen and then we breathe out carbon dioxide. Okay. It's just how it works. And so that's what I mean, truth. Is stuff you'll never change how it works, stuff you didn't decide, and you know, that you, in that saying, that could be, you know, me speaking to myself as well. We're just human beings. We're just taking the ride on this roller coaster of life that God built for us. We can't defy gravity. So a lot of what we talk about is, you know, we just can't do things that are bigger than us. Things that are too big for us. As human beings, we try too often. You know, stepping farther away from us than we can support our own selves atop Earth's gravity with. Our feet are only as long as our feet are, like I was saying earlier. Gripping an arch, you have to at least be in a mechanical position that's the same as having the heel and the pinky toe both on the ground. Because we can take our feet off the ground and still have our arches gripped in the air, but we have to be in a mechanical position where we can have opposing muscles still opposing and working evenly from the neutral. Okay, the adductors, the inner leg muscles, pulling in, and the abductors, the outer leg muscles, pulling out. And there's just a neutral, straightforward from that pinky toe to the inward or the outward positioning of the leg, to the rotation inward or outward of the neutral position of the leg. Okay, and this is the same with the arm and just the whole body, man. I mean, there's just only one neutral. Because in the video I made today, under the main site of In The Image Clothing Company, titled, what I referenced a few minutes ago here, what it really means to reach the right arm, it's similar to the video titled, What It Really Means to Lean Left, under the main site of In The Image Clothing Company. Okay, looking right and turning left are mechanically the same in a sense, right? Internally rotating the right side of the body and leaning left are mechanically the same in a sense. You know, I mean, there's just certain things that just, it's a mechanical machine and it's on gravity's pull. We have to just stay over our center of gravity. And what I said in that video today that really is a good way to be able to see this is it's like a vehicle, you know, that has a neutral. And from there you can put it into drive and you can go forward and you can come back to neutral in the center. Then you can put it into reverse and you can go backward and you can come back to neutral in the center. The neutral in the center is just, it'll go either way. It's like the body's standing just directly vertical on Earth's gravity. And then let's say you just deactivate all your muscles and the wind blows a little bit. Which way are you going to fall from your absolute neutral vertical stance? Okay, that's the neutral. That's the center of gravity that we cannot defy. It's like when your arms are just hanging and dangling. Oh, shoot. Dangling down at your sides. We just need a neutral straight line from that shoulder down and out the pinky finger, because that's the neutral arm. Is straight out the pinky finger, just like straight out the pinky toe is the neutral leg. And when we just hang our arms down with Earth's gravity, where are they going to hang? Because we cannot oppose Earth's gravity. We cannot defy gravity. So anybody that's ever trying to get you to do anything about hold your shoulders back and you've got good posture, hold your shoulders back, you're opposing Earth's gravity. You're on Earth and its gravitational pull just pulls your arms straight down. You need to just be able to have your musculature's activation contract just naturally, neutrally. Okay, the natural scapula position, a video under the main site of In The Image Clothing Company. The big bones on our upper back are called scapulas or shoulder blades, and they are the shoulder. Okay, they are where the motion of the shoulder comes from. They meet the clavicle or the collarbone and the humerus or the upper arm bone, and they become the shoulder socket. Okay, the shoulder capsule, the shoulder's joint, where the edge seams of our tops sit, because it's a joint of material as well as a joint of body parts, right? Again, immovable bones. Bones that just only have the shape they do and they connect to each other. And now you have motion. And from there, the arm just hangs straight down with Earth's gravity. And so you cannot try to hold your body into good posture. You cannot physically possibly train the human being in any aspect to get it to do anything besides just get stronger in its only working neutral positions. Because if you try to train your shoulders to hold them back like this, well, then what about once you stop trying to train them, Earth's gravity will just pull them back to the center front to back positioning of Earth's gravity's pull that we cannot defy. There's only truth, and it is truly physically impossible to train the human being to get it to do anything at all. We can only allow it to work. That's what I say. There's no such thing as posture. I've said this since before the founding of In the Image Clothing Company, right? I was just Evan Strong making videos on the human body and clothing and how they're, affecting each other. The correlation between the two is how I was wording it, right? Talking about body mechanics. Body mechanics with Evan is really what it was. I'm still doing the exact same thing, but now I just have it under a company name. Our 5-word name. In the Image Clothing Company. Okay, so we can have a team, and we can have the poodles, and we can have our building, and we can be in St. George, Utah, and we can do all the things we do. We can live up Utah, and we can help people with their bodies and their dogs as well. Through community, rather than just me. But what I'm saying is, I've been saying for the amount of time that I have, just the truth in this instance, there's only one way the human body can work vertically on Earth's gravity. There's no such thing as posture because there's opposing muscles. Front to back, the pectorals pull the shoulders forward. The trapezius muscles pull the shoulders backward. Up and down, the upper trapezius pull the shoulders upward. The latissimus dorsi pulls the shoulders downward. Rotation-wise, we've got muscles that internally rotate the body and muscles that externally rotate the body. There's opposition in all things. There's opposing muscles. And within that, there's a neutral, where since the human body can only ever work activated as a whole, truly, as we say, under In the Image Clothing Company, we just discuss it. It's just the truth, not our choice. Everything's there with a role to play. Everything has its own individual role. There's no compensation that can be had because it has to play its own role, whatever it is in the body, so it can't make up for something else's role because then it can't fully do its own role properly. And we just can't drag around dead weight, having part of our body just not working. The rest of them it just has to work as a whole, man. There's opposing muscles to a function. And so in that neutral, there's opposing sides to the neutral, the opposing sides still stay activated even in the neutral position because they're, pulling from one side and pulling from the other side evenly, and our bodies are locked in a sense, neutral. Okay? And so there's no way you can train posture because we have to have all the opposing muscles working evenly. The muscles in the front, the pectorals, pulling the shoulder in from the front, the muscles in the rear, the 3 trapezius, upper, middle, and lower, the rhomboids, and, everything between the shoulder blade and the spine, the rotator cuff, and whatever it is, front to back on the body. Things are pulling inward to the spine. Pulling from the front in and pulling from the rear in just to keep the shoulders in line because the shoulders can go forward and the shoulders can go backward from the neutral. Like the car or vehicle of any kind, you can put it into drive, it can go forward, you can come back to neutral, you can put it into reverse, and it can go backward. I don't mean to be mean, but I mean what I mean. There's only truth. And you've got people that have like a decade, like 10 years of schooling, and they've got a professional degree, and they claim to be this or claim to be that. Physical therapists and whatever, I don't even care, right? Chiropractors and personal trainers, sports coaches. I talk about these people often because one day, whenever it is, could be today, it could be never, it doesn't matter. But just meaning anytime anybody comes across what we do under In the Image Clothing Company and they think they know how the human body works and they're just opposing the truth, we speak the truth here. It's nothing to do with us. We just point you to God. God designed the human body. There's only one way it could ever work. You cannot train it. I don't care who's been doing what for 3 times my lifetime. Somebody's been doing something for like however many years, teaching people how to train their body. I've been a coach for so long, says somebody. I know how to make your body work. No, you don't, because it's physically impossible. Take me, Evan Strong, out of it. It's not my opinion. It's the truth, because we cannot defy gravity. and there is a neutral. I was just in this position already, right? Well, that's the point. I was already in my neutrals, and then I just moved my arm to show that my wrist was already neutral. Oh, shoot. Yeah, no opinion I could possibly have, but this has been the same since the very first man on earth. This has been the same since God, and God has always existed. We're designed in the image of God. So I don't care how long you've gone to school and you think you know something about how to train the human being to do something. It is impossible. But you have to have your clothing sitting on your body correct, or else you're already starting at one end of your neutral. And there's another side to it. That's why it's called a neutral. There's no opinion to there being a neutral, because there is Earth's gravity that has a neutral or a center line to its pole. And there's just bones in the body that are neutrals that you couldn't dispute. It's just the truth. No new information. We don't own this as in the Image Clothing Company, and nobody could. But we sure do discuss it so deeply to where you couldn't possibly deny it. It's just like preaching the gospel of Jesus Christ. It's people out there with all their philosophies and you know, trying to get down to what life really is out there, man. And you'll never understand everything fully. The truth is God designed it. It's like the human body. You've got so many people trying to understand the best way to train the human being. The reason why you can never understand it fully, and it doesn't work, and it doesn't last, and you stretch just to stretch again tomorrow, and you work out just to work out again tomorrow. You go to physical therapy just to go again next week, or, you know, in 2 weeks, or whatever it is. Or the chiropractor, monthly, bi-monthly, every week, whatever you do. The reason you keep doing it is because it will never work. You will never get enough of what is not for you. You have no say. This isn't me telling it to you. This is me saying it to all of us. I'm just as human as anybody else, but I just know God. He designed our bodies. We will never get them to do anything. It is impossible. And there is no dispute. What there is, though, is hundreds of hours, as of today's date, of video documentation, audio documentation of me, Evan Strong, the founder of In the Image Clothing Company, just discussing this stuff to the degree that it, yeah, I mean, you couldn't possibly dispute it. It's nothing to do with me, but I know it well, and I speak it clear and bold. And all of a sudden, I get evicted, right? Because I'm so loud. No, but it's funny because that's how I'm so bold. That was the point, right? Of how to be bold. Episode 180 of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. The one yesterday. From today's date back, right? Yeah, the 27th of November, 2025 is when it was. A record-keeping people. That's a lot of what this is. That's a lot of what this specific one episode, 181 of In the Image Clothing Company podcast is. Defying Gravity is the title. A lot of it is just documentation. Like, look, anytime anybody's got any question of Evan Strong, the founder of In the Image Clothing Company, anybody at In the Image Clothing Company's team, or anything we ever do under In the Image Clothing Company, if we make some big, bold statement that you've got a problem with about how it's impossible to do something with the body because of gravity's sake, I don't want me or anybody else at the team or anybody at all to ever have to explain themselves. Truth is truth, but this is good. I've explained it here. You know, we'll just say, hey, well, check out, if you got a problem with what we're saying about just how gravity affects the human body, check out episode 181 of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. Yeah, it's titled Defying Gravity. It'll give you the context you need. Please do not talk to us anymore about it. Go watch that if you'd like to, or don't, but just leave us alone. Because we say things that oppose what other people say, but we speak the truth. We're imperfect. It's not just because we're saying something, it's truth, but, you know, what our company's based on and founded upon is just the truth of the only way the human body could ever possibly work. And the way it's the truth is because we understand how the body was designed by God himself. The truth himself. Okay? You can't defy gravity, man. You cannot. It's impossible. It is impossible. There's so many things that are impossible. We've got the core muscles. The muscles in our abdominal area here, well, listen to this. I'm going to just keep speaking. Even if this is kind of loud, I need to do this for the sake of explaining this. Listen to this. Just listen to me talk. And if you're watching in visual plus audio, right, I'm hitting my abdomen I don't have any kind of like protection on underneath my shirt that like makes it easier to speak while I do this. I'm just smacking my core with my hands, and so that you can hear. I'm not winded, I'm not out of breath. It's not causing it to be a hard thing to do to speak. As I've said since the founding of In the Image Clothing Company. And before I say it, it's nothing to do with me. My body did not work like this in the past. But the core of the human being can never deactivate. It's just the center of the body. It's like, I've said it like this many, many times on In the Image Clothing Company podcast. It's like the core of an apple. You core an apple or take the core out of the apple withers away and dies. The core is where the seeds are. The core is where the apple stems from. Check the phrasing. I say catch usually. Catch the phrasing. When I say things that are literal. The gospel of Jesus Christ. The good news of God. God, the creator of all. It's literal. The apple stems its growth from the stem of the apple in the center where the seeds are at the core. If you core the apple withers away and dies. If the core of the human being is ever, and hear that correct, ever deactivated, the entire body's suffering. It's essentially withering away and dying, truly. But you can never train the human being to get the core to activate. But it's about a positioning. I wanted to do that and explain that before I said this, because that's the point. Earth's gravity. We've got the core here, the abdominal muscles here in our abdomen, okay, in the front of our body, below our rib cage, above our hips. What you think of as a 6-pack, 8-pack abs, right? Abdominal muscles, the obliques, the abdominal muscles, right? And our core. Yeah. You're doing crunches or sit-ups, trying to get them to work with pant waistlines that are lower in the front than the rear, pulling on those muscles while you're shortening those muscles. It's impossible. It's mechanics. It's physics. It's Earth's gravity. It's truth. It's impossible to get the body to do anything. But there's a neutral position to the pelvis on Earth's gravity, which we cannot defy. I'm going to kind of sit with this because this is huge. This is the point. This is no new information. This is not In the Image Clothing Company's breakthrough. This is not Evan Strong thinking he's got something that he stumbled upon. This is just the truth that has always been. But we just don't see it if we don't see it, right? It's as obvious as it is once you see it, is a phrase that I say often, have said often. It's I couldn't even take credit. It's not like I'm trying to sell you some breakthrough. I'm just explaining something. Mechanics and gravity. That's it. God. I'm explaining to you who God is. There's a neutral to the pelvis position. The pelvis can have those abdominal core muscles in the front. Okay, pant waistline angles. I couldn't hit that too hard, right? The slipped lap knot. Tie the tail into the center, and then you've got an even waistband for a drawstring. We do the slipped lap knot. That's what I show under In the Image Clothing Company. You can't rotate your hips, or you just never have your core active. You're twisting it. Muscles only pull two endpoints together in line. If you put one side of a rope over the other around your hips or around your shoes, you're tying one side over the other, the same direction on both feet. You know, that's what I say. Introducing ropes to the body. Oversized clothing, imbalances in clothing. Those are usually the three things that I say when I discuss what gets us into chronic patterning and scar tissue. Musculature only pulls two endpoints together. And so on both sides of our body, it has to be even atop Earth's gravity, which we cannot defy. So we've got the abdominal muscles here below our rib cage in the front, right? Pulling up on the front of the pelvis. Working with our hamstrings on the rear of the upper legs, pulling down on the rear of the pelvis. And so they're opposing muscles, both doing the only thing muscles do, shortening, contracting, pulling two endpoints together evenly on Earth's gravity. There's a center line to gravity, a center line to the human body, and a neutral position to the angle of the pelvis, okay? Posterior or anterior. And we need to just stay vertical on Earth's gravity. Do you hear me? Do you hear me? It's like, what I'm saying is, do you hear the way I'm saying this? Do you hear how present I am with this? Like, please hear me. Stop it. with trying to get your body to do something, it will be never happening. It is impossible. Impossible. No claim. I'm discussing it thoroughly. I'm giving you the anatomy explanation that is eternal of the universal human design that we all are. I mean, this is the truth. The word truth means unchanging because the word truth is the same as the name God, which is just a titling. But the name Jesus Christ is God. The truth. It's the same yesterday, today, and forever. This isn't a workout plan that might work. This is just mechanics of mechanics. Even if we weren't alive, if we just built a robot that's got the same like structure to it that the human bones do, and the musculature, which just only moves those bones, you know, it's the same thing. If it was just like a metal robot, and instead of the bones, we made little metal pieces, you know, in place of our human bones. I'm just teaching you mechanics. There's no opinion that could possibly be had. This is truth. Whew, gosh, I mean, this is like, that was a real like sigh thing, you know. I don't. Yeah. You know, if you know, I'm just real with this. I mean, this is just truth. This is not my opinion. This has nothing to do with me. It's everything to do with Jesus Christ. There's a neutral, okay, to the pelvis, vertical on Earth's gravity. The pants are just physically placed on us. Like I was saying earlier, even the pant cuffs down at the very bottom. When I said, do you hear me? I mean, do you hear the like softness to my voice? I'm trying to say this in a way where it's like, please, do not believe me. This is just how it is. Can we please just see the truth? In a world full of all sorts of everything, there's just God underlying everything else. The truth. Underlying all the workout plans, stretching routines, yoga, diets, whatever it is. And then any kind of rehab as well, on the end of like chiropractors and physical therapists, there's only truth. There's only God and his design, the human being. Earth's gravity with its centered pole, a posterior tuck or an anterior falling, in a sense, rotation, right, either way, to the pelvis. The core muscles in our abdominal area pull up in the front. The hamstrings at the upper part of the rear of our legs pull down in the rear. That's a posterior rotation of the pelvis. We need our pelvis to tuck underneath us, enough to just be vertical on Earth's gravity. Same thing as the pant waistline sitting slightly higher in the front than the rear. Okay, this is why we're a clothing company. We're really just here for the human body, but clothing is the only thing physically placed onto the human body. It's a mechanical machine only. That is it, physically. We're spirit children of God, placed into the body as our vessel. As a vessel. An episode title of In the Image Clothing Company podcast, okay? Yeah, so the pelvis has to just be vertical. It's just got rotations. I'm going to stand up a little bit. I mean, I don't have enough room to really, like... Look, anterior rotation, posterior rotation, anterior, posterior. The core muscles, the abdominal ones here, and the hamstrings contract or shorten to posteriorly tuck the pelvis. The quadriceps here on the front of the legs and the lower back muscles here contract or shorten to anteriorly rotate the pelvis. There's just opposing muscles. There's just only one neutral to that, and there is a neutral or a center to Earth's gravity's pull. And so, if there was nothing placed onto the body or underneath its feet, changing just the mechanical angle of the heels that changes the entire body's bends from there up, okay, at the ankles, they bend, the knees bend, the hips bend, the lower back bends, the mid back bends, the upper spine bends, which is the cervical, it's really the neck. Okay, watch this. The body's just got to just snake back and forth to stay vertical on Earth's gravity. The ankles bend backward. Well, yeah. Yes. The knees bend forward. The hips bend backward. The lower back bends forward. The mid back bends backward. The spine of the neck, or the upper back, if you will, bends forward. So it goes back, forth, back, forth, back, forth. All the way up. The jaw stabilizes the entire body. Even the wrist, in a sense. I mean, The elbow bends in, the wrist bends out, and, really the wrist goes both ways, like the foot. Well, really the ankle would be the wrist, and the hand would be the foot. Right? Let me say this too, just context, because I have no claim. This is the truth, and it's not a breakthrough. It's just, we got to see it. Gosh, it's nothing to do with me. This is God. The feet are the hands. The ankles are the wrists. The lower legs are the forearms. The elbows are the knees. The upper arm is the upper leg. The shoulders are the hips. The spine connects the two. The jaw stabilizes the entire body. And there you go. That's the human being. Gripped arches in the feet. Hand arches gripped in the hands, right? Where grip strength really comes from. A video under the main site of In The Image Clothing Company. Nails is the big one. We talk about the whole body, but we got to have nails all the way to the tips of the toes and the tips of the fingers, fully supporting them, cut relatively flat on the tips, just so we can stay in that neutral. And I say this often, man. I have, up until today's date. All right, I filmed a video, within a week back from today, on the main site of In The Image Clothing Company, titled "Cutting Fingernails Naturally." Okay. So here's the big thing with the grips: gripped hands, gripped feet, arches, if you will. There is a rounding or an arch to the hands, okay? Only if the feet have arches. Ankles are like the wrists. There's motion, flexion, and just motion all outside of their neutrals. The lower legs and the forearms, there's rotations, internal and external, with 2 bones in the lower legs, 2 bones in the forearm. The knees and the elbows, a fairly simple hinge that just also has those rotations coming from the lower legs or the forearms up into the knees or the elbows. The upper legs and the upper arms, there's just 1 bone in there, in each of those. The shoulder capsule, if you will, and the hip capsule, very similar. There's rotations in there, and there's a lot of motion. Okay, we can say more. We can just talk about the spine. The spine goes forward and back. The spine goes left and right. The spine does have rotation. You could call it torsion, but we should never twist the body. And no guarantees, but I almost certainly will make a video for the main site of In The Image Clothing Company titled something like "Never Twist the Body." Because, you have to oppose Earth's center of gravity. If you twist things, you're putting torsion on the spine, you're elongating certain muscles and contracting other muscles, but not in a in-line tracking position, which is the only way muscles work. You're just twisting your body. We're just so out of touch because we live in such a man-made society. And if you're just in such a twist anyway from just clothing patterns, In The Image Clothing Company's rotated seam modification, In The Image Clothing Company's dreaded collar seam modification, In The Image Clothing Company's pant zipper modification, the simple little things, how tongue tabs of shoes affect body mechanics. We get so small with it because you have to. There is only one way the human body could ever work. You cannot defy gravity. Despite what they say in this song, and shout out to, whatever. Who cares? I wrote it down. I wrote down who sings it, because I was thinking maybe we sing it. And then, I just want to give credit where I do. Well, I don't think I'm going to even do it. But anyway, that's what that sticky note was about. Which, also, I don't know if you saw what's on the other side. Just meaning, that sticky note was already used for some other information. And I try to keep branding out of things. I try to be intentional about what I film and what I don't film. Just if you do have the phone number on that or the email, don't bombard this person. This is just a really good man in my life who was helping me with some things, right? So I don't mean to be showing things wrong, but I also feel like that was an intentional thing to put in there as well, on accident on my part, intentional by God. That was my bishop. It wasn't my bishop, but the bishop of the home ward in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints of where I currently live. And I contacted him. My grandma gave me his phone number. This is as real as it gets. This is the whole, blunt, bold, raw, real part of it in the Image Clothing Company. My grandmother gave me his phone number because, I removed my records from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints for 13 months and then got rebaptized, right? The second time around is the episode of In The Image Clothing Company podcast where I discussed it. This man, he met with me around that time. He came here to where I live, and so I said, I mean, unintentional by me, intentional by God, to accidentally potentially show his, information on the back of here. Please don't contact him if you could even see that. I mean, I could have just brushed it off and not even addressed it, but God works in mysterious ways, because I haven't even said who I wrote down for the song Defying Gravity, but for some reason I wrote it down on this sticky note and brought it into this room and rushed in here with some urgency to film this, and then you just heard how this has come out so well, my discussion of all this in this episode 181 of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. Defying Gravity is the title. So yeah. I'm just a little kid, man. I'm just here doing what I'm doing. I'm in this for life, though. I love the purebred standard poodles, pure breeds. We advocate for pure breeds. I actually held some, keep in mind, this is In the Image Clothing Company podcast. This is, we just do it as we do. It doesn't have to flow in any kind of certain way. I was flowing so well there, but, yeah, the importance of even sternocleidomastoid insertions, right? We talk about it, but see, this is what I mean. It doesn't have to flow in any kind of certain way. I'm just here just discussing things. That's great. Humbling is what that is. I held a golden retriever puppy over here earlier today. Golden retrievers are great. I love pure breeds though, because actually I held some mini golden doodles at the grocery store. There's like this strip of grass outside. They call it a park strip. I think that's what they call it for a grocery store as well. But just, along the side of the road before the parking lot of the grocery store, there's just like a strip of grass. And people often just sit there with their puppies, when their litters come and they sell the puppies there, just because people come by and see the puppies, and then they can, have like advertisement, if you will. Just people can see the puppies. I held, some mini golden doodles. I'm just not a fan of mixed breeds for the health of the dogs. I say it, a mutt is a mutt, and I don't mean to be mean, and there's a lot of context. Golden doodles are great dogs in a lot of ways, but we have to, do all that we can to keep our dogs healthy, and so we advocate for proper breeding before anything else. Yeah. But then, right next to them, there was these golden retriever puppies. And man, they had some soft fur. Golden retrievers have fur. Poodles have hair, right? Golden retrievers, you don't have to cut their fur. Poodles, you have to cut their hair, or it just keeps growing. A golden doodle, for context, if you don't know, is a mix between a purebred poodle and a purebred golden retriever. But golden retrievers are awesome. And after I held that puppy over there today, I was like, I need to talk about this. I was praying to God, and yeah, he told me, yeah, you need to say this, because I love it. I love golden retrievers. I do. I love purebred dogs for the health. It's not a prestigious thing, but I mean, that's just how there are distinct different breeds, is because there is a pure breed. Otherwise, it's a mix, and you don't even know what it is for sure. Sometimes you got a mix of like 7 different dogs, no exaggeration, in one dog sometimes, in ways. I mean, it's truly, and just health complications and stuff you just can't expect. Even temperament things that comes from multiple different breeds, and it's like, you don't know how to even address the dog, because it's like, it's been lost in, generations of breeding. Where's the dog? Pure breeds, we really, 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 I wanted to get louder, but I kind of wanted to stop at 3 as well, just for the sake of the Trinity. We really, really, really advocate, there we go, okay, for pure breeds with dogs. That's why I say it so clear. We specialize in purebred standard poodles. Standard is the large size, or the biggest size of poodle, which, again, even that phrasing, standard, that's the standard size. That's how the poodles were before they were bred down in size. There's reasons as to why, and it's not always bad if it's done properly and healthily, but purebred standard size poodles is what we specialize in under In the Image Clothing Company poodles. One of our 4s, like I was saying, I gave some context in this one episode here alone. And I just talk about it, in almost everything that we do, like this, when I talk about each of the 4 sides of In the Image Clothing Company a little bit, I'll say that. Purebred standard poodles. Purebred golden retrievers, they're awesome dogs. I want to just make it clear. And golden doodles are great dogs. They're great family dogs. They're sweet. They're kind. They're gentle. They are smart. I mean, you got two of some of the smartest dog breeds. Poodles are like the second smartest dog breed, statistically, like actual measured, statistics. Golden retrievers are up there. I think they're in the top 10. You take 2 amazing dogs, a purebred poodle and a purebred golden retriever, and you make an offspring from that, and you've got a lot of amazing traits. Golden doodles are just so popular nowadays, but they are a mutt. And I do not mean to be mean, but I mean what I mean. I said that about something else earlier in the same episode. Yeah. No, that's the truth. They're not bad dogs. They're great. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't want to say it. I don't want to say that I like them, because I kind of don't. But there's a lot of great things about them that I like. Golden doodles, I don't want to be so, like, I don't know. You know what I mean? But that's the truth. I don't know. It's hard to say, because I don't like them, but I like them because, yeah, they've got so many great traits, but we have to do all that we can to have healthy dogs, because there's just, you can just breed 2 dogs together and just make money. And so anybody can just take a golden retriever and a poodle and just, let's have puppies, not health test them and not know where their genetics are coming from and not even know what's going on really. And then you've got such difference in sizes. You've got like a standard sized dog breeding with a toy sized dog. And it's like, then there's a lot of cesarean births, with surgical births instead of natural births, because you've just got mixed dogs. There's so much that comes with it. Anytime I ever say a mutt is a mutt, and I've said this since the first time that I said it, documented under any 4 sides of In the Image Clothing Company, there's so much behind it. There's so much reason as to why. I know what I'm talking about. This is what I mean. I when I say I try and all that I can to never speak on anything that I don't at least know pretty well. I usually don't try to say anything. I usually try not to say anything unless I know quite a bit about what I'm saying. And that's what I said a lot of in episode 180, How to Be Bold, of In the Image Clothing Company podcast, is know what you're talking about if you're going to speak. And then you can say it bold because you know it. It's like, yeah. Anyway, the golden retrievers. Man. Yeah. They're cool. Golden retrievers are awesome. Okay. I just kind of want to make it clear. I just love pure breed dogs. I mean, that's the thing, is then it's just about preference. It's like, well, does a dog's temperament and, way of living align with your lifestyle? Does its size align with your lifestyle? Does its level of activity that it requires, if you will, right, align with your lifestyle? Because I was thinking about it driving home from there. I was like, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of pure breeds that I love. Poodles are my favorite. Purebred standard poodles. That's why there's 1/4 of In the Image Clothing Company. In the Image Clothing Company poodles. It's not just about dogs only. It's specifically one breed. But huskies. I love huskies. They're good dogs, right? And then, yeah, there's just a few dogs like this that I was thinking of, that are just, they're really great dogs. I mean, the cattle dogs, border collies and blue heelers, red heelers, Australian shepherds. These dogs, when they're healthy and purebred, they're good dogs. They're out there working in fields all day, and they're running for hours and hours a day, herding cattle or sheep or whatever it is, protecting farms from wildlife, like predators, that could eat the animals. These are good dogs. There's a lot of good dogs out there. Golden retrievers are one of them. So I see the appeal of the golden doodles. That's what I'm saying. I get it. I don't know if they're the most popular dog out there right now, but that definitely could be the case. I'm pretty sure that's the case. I think they're the most popular dog out there. If not, I'm pretty sure they're the most popular dog. It's like, I don't want to say if not, then maybe, but no, I mean, I'm pretty sure they are. But that's the problem. Because they're just so popular. Now people are just breeding and breeding and breeding, and they don't know what they're doing. And you're creating life. You're selectively, unnaturally selecting, if you will, Yeah, right. You're selecting two dogs to breed, and they're two different breeds, and you're creating something new essentially, and that's God's choice, not ours. And as I said, I get it. Any dog breed that's here now that wasn't at some time, it happened through the same way, but it takes time and it has to be done properly to get down to healthy dogs, to where you can zero in on a new breed, if you will. You just got to do it proper. So, but again, you just don't know what you don't know. You can't be held accountable for what you don't know, but that doesn't mean you're not doing damage still. I didn't know this stuff in the past at all about breeding dogs. I mean, there's still a lot that I don't know about breeding dogs, but we'll always be doing what we do when it comes to breeding purebred standard poodles. And so, I'll learn even more as I go, but as of now, I do know a lot. Yeah, so anyway, there's just some great dogs out there. And it was cool because somebody actually bought one of the golden retrievers while I was there. I was holding one of the puppies, and this family bought, one of them as well. There was like 5, give or take. Oh, shoot. They're good dogs. They were all boys. I think she had 1, maybe 2 girls, and she didn't have them anymore. The rest were boys. But, they were chunky dogs, They were 8 weeks old, but they're large dogs, standard size, if you will, like standard poodles, big dogs. I mean, that's I love it. And then one of the people there said something about that too, like just something about large dogs. Like, I love large dogs, or something like that. It's like, yeah, that's that. And I was holding one of the puppies, one of these golden retrievers, and I was like feeling its paws. I'm like, yeah, you're gonna be a pretty big boy. It's like I was thinking to myself and like praying to God, like, I love large dogs too. It's so much. And you can just tell by my countenance when I start talking about the dogs. I'm tearing up. I'm literally tearing up because I love them. As I say, my heart's in it. There's a reason we do what we do with the poodle. So I'm tearing up. It's like hard to keep my smile because it's like I'm crying. Oh, shoot. I don't have a dog right now. I still haven't had my first dog, Anita will be my first, and she'll be great. But when I get to interact with dogs, I went to the shelter 2 days ago over here, the South Utah Valley Animal Shelter here in Utah County, and I played with this dog. I think he was a golden doodle. He was a poodle mix of some kind, standard size, but more like small standard, smaller than our dogs will be under In the Image Clothing Company, because I need them tall enough to not have to reach down to pet their head, just for the mechanics of my body. That's, again, like I say, that's a lot of what we do under In the Image Clothing Company Poodles, is talk about the sizing of dogs versus the size of the owner, interacting with dogs, like holding leashes naturally so that our bodies don't get altered, And so this dog I was hanging out with, his name was Goop. He was some kind of poodle mix. He was cool. He was like brown, which is a fairly uncommon color, really, for a poodle mix. Yeah, brown. I mean, yeah, you don't really see that. Not it's like a chocolatey brown. Yeah, kind of like this beanie. I mean, like, I don't know how well this is gonna translate exactly through the video in this room's lighting, but similar to that. Kind of like between mini and like traditional standard size mixed poodle. He was cool though. I was hanging out with him for a little while there 2 days ago. That's what I mean is, there's great dogs where there are, but we have to do all that we can to start before birth to take care of our dogs, right? Taking care of our dogs. Like I said, that episode that I filmed of In the Image Clothing Company podcast is just like a handful of episodes back from this one here in the 170s. I filmed it down in St. George, where we'll be back. I'm moving down there. But it starts before birth, registering the litters, and then we take those registered dogs from the previous litters, and then we breed them with other registered dogs, and then we register our litters. Yeah, in all the ways you can. I get it. It costs money, and, availability of things sometimes is hard to. But in all the ways you can, we need to register our dogs, because you're actually documenting genetics. It's not just about like a prestigious birth certificate so you have something to say your dog's registered. But no, I mean you're documenting DNA and genealogy. Okay, there's a lot to it. That's what I mean, bro. This is about defying gravity. Not really. That's not really about gravity at all, but just we're still in the same episode is what I mean. But that's what I was saying before I started talking about the dogs, is there doesn't have to be any kind of specific structure to an episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. It's what it's for. Just discuss the truth of life. Just do it authentically, just sit here and speak on whatever we speak on that's important to say here, so we'll be breeding poodles, and not only just us breeding poodles, because we wouldn't have to share anything and we could just do it properly and just, sell good dogs, get dogs to good homes that we can, have them stay at for life by picking proper people to have them go to, with our screening process for, who adopts the puppies. But sharing all this information is a lot of what we do as well. Just giving a lot of information is a big part of just what we are as In the Image Clothing Company, But I liked it. Just standing there today with that golden retriever puppy. I don't know if I've ever held a golden retriever puppy. I don't think I have until today. I don't think so. But they're great dogs, man. Golden retrievers. They are. I just want to make it clear, yeah. I don't know. It's just cool. There's a lot of things that dogs do for us as human beings, and that is another dog breed that often gets used for a service dog, and that's a lot of what our focus is under the poodles within the Image Clothing Company poodles, things like that, therapy dogs, service dogs, emotional support dogs. When we talk about, do everything clothing, do everything dog products, we breed our dogs with the intention of choosing dogs to create offspring that can be do everything dogs. That's what I mean, is dogs that are just so well-rounded, like a service dog, that can do everything that we would do, so they can come with us as our family members, There's some good dogs. Poodles are just, I mean, you know how I feel about poodles if you know how I feel about poodles, right? I love them, and they're amazing for that. But there are other dog breeds as well that are wonderful dogs, for sure. Hell yeah. And that humbles me, because, yeah, that humbles me. But, well, yeah, you'll see as time progresses, because I talk about, we'll do a lot with dogs, with organizations that do things with dogs, brands that do things for dogs, collaborations, because that's the point, right? That's the point of doing this, is sharing what we do and working together, being a community, being a company of people, right? Oh my gosh. Oh no. Oh shoot. The poodles, man. Just stick around for the poodles if you want to. But I have just been, we could say advertising, but just talking about, and yes, advertising for In the Image Clothing Company poodles since the spring of this year, and it's November. It's the end of November, right? It's the 28th of November today. And it's been since the spring sometime, I announced that we will be doing things with dogs, and, then In the Image Clothing Company poodles is what it was titled. And then I talked about our breeding program with our purebred standard poodles. And then, now that I know we'll be in St. George, Utah, it's, more of an understanding of the location and the environment that we'll have things like poodle parade events in, and right, it's just kind of built and built and built before we even ever have had our first purebred standard poodle. Her name will be Nita. A lot of context on Nita before she's ever been born. Do you see what I mean? Laying a foundation, brother. Talking about Earth's gravity and how you can't defy it, so that, it's just so it's documented. It's like, it's just about the documentation, man. A record-keeping people. Members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Some God-fearing people who know that you can't do anything opposing God. Gravity is God. Truly. Unchanging, Yep, that's something people probably are going to have a little bit of a hard time hearing. Certain people, I'm sure, yeah. But yeah, that's what I mean, is we just give context, it's just the truth. So there you go. I love that discussion of the dogs in this, because it basically had nothing to do with gravity. When I was discussing dog breeds right there, doesn't need to necessarily, Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. The level of gratitude I have is just, oh my gosh. Yeah, here's this little poodle bobblehead right back here. My mom gave me for my birthday this year. My 26th birthday. Shout out to my mom. She's in the hospital. She had open heart surgery last week. This week. Whenever it was. I don't know. Within a week back from today. She's fine. Sort of. She's recovering. But, I don't know if she's going to recover. Truly. That's me saying that personally. Yeah. That's cool too to document, because yeah, I don't know. I don't think she's gonna make it through the recovery from the surgery, honestly. I'm saying that today on the 28th of November. Okay. There you go. Yeah. I'm moving to St. George. Okay. There's some context. Yeah, they did I don't know what the word would be, but 5, right? They say like triple, quadruple, I don't know what it is. Cinctuple, maybe? I don't know Spanish all that well, really, actually, as of right now, but they did 5 bypasses in her heart, open heart surgery, I've had 2 open heart surgeries for different reasons than that. But yeah, she's still, recovering, not at her home, so man, she already has some underlying things as well, so that's a lot for her body to go through, and I don't think she's gonna recover. I do not. So there you go. Documented. Yep. Yeah. So we'll be down in St. George, Utah. I do love change. Okay, as I've said before, I love it. Yeah, I don't think she's making it through the recovery process. I don't. That's me. That's me and God. That's not, that's not any kind of doctor or anybody else. That's something I'm pretty certain about, though. Oh, shoot. Because that's real. That's real. It's not a bad thing, if it's time, it's time. Shoot, but that's something I've been yeah, as you can tell by me saying Ben twice. It's just a feeling I've had since she went into surgery. I don't think she's gonna recover. So, she's about 58 years old. This is a prompting from God, is what this is. That's why I'm saying it like I am. That's why I'm saying it on here. You know, a lot of it too is just kind of, that level of acceptance, because God works in mysterious ways, and his timings are awesome. I just got back from St. George, and while I was down there, I learned through personal revelation from God that I'll be moving down there, and that'll be the specific town we set up, as I've been saying, base camp for life. On our drive back from St. George, my grandparents and I, we got a call from, my sister. And we learned my mom was going into open heart surgery Monday. So it was actually this Monday. It was actually just 5 days ago. Yeah, I went and slept in the hospital Monday night. That night, after she had her surgery. And that's the last time I've seen her as of right now. So it was like 4 days ago, I guess. 3 days ago, I guess. Yeah, right. Yeah. There's your context on what's going on with my mother right now. Yeah. It is what it is, though, I mean, that's kind of something that people are probably so shocked that I can say so calmly. I mean, I'm not like hiding any. No, see what I mean? I'm not hiding any kind of like pain, but I'm pretty certain she is just about done with her earthly life. As of like right now, me saying this, and so there's a level of just contentment, though. Even during that phone call I was hearing between my sister and my grandmother coming home from St. George on Saturday, right? Almost a week ago, Saturday is when we came back up here from St. George, so, to Utah County, I'm yeah. Whew, man, just so grateful. That's what it is. That God speaks, that he's just as present as he is, because he is. I mean, shoot. Oh, no, man, that's crazy. Because it's just, you can't accept things like this if you don't know God, the one and only God. I mean, oh my gosh. I've been through some big stuff in my life, and that, a lot of that too is just, preparation God has given me to be able to accept things. Holy cow, though. Holy cow. That's just so weird to even say so calmly. Oh, shoot. This is a release. It's like, I did not plan on just, man, it's just so cool. It's truly, it's like a, thank you, it's so cool, man. And I'm almost excited for if she's leaving, because she's dealt with a lot. Just having that understanding of who God really is. I mean, it's a release. It's a parting. It's going back home. And it's a good thing. It's so weird to say because people don't get it. I know that they don't, so. But I know God. Wow. Holy cow. Holy cow. I mean, that's a big thing to say. Just discussing, I mean, I'm just so casual about it, is what I mean.